Reconnect and heal today. Welcome to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Never Dies Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and it is my pleasure to be with you again today. So I have a question for you. Are you ready to fall in love with life by understanding and embracing death? Well, if you said yes to me, you're going to want to stay with me for this amazing conversation I know we're going to have because I see into the future. And anytime I'm with Susanne Wilson, the Carefree Medium, we have a blast. Susanne Wilson is an evidential medium, spiritual teacher, and research medium who has participated in numerous scientific studies. She serves on the board of directors for the Afterlife Research and Education Institute, and she's the director of Mediumship Research and Education. She is its director of Mediumship Research and Education, and she also sits on the advisory board, and she's an advisory board member for the Soul Phone Foundation. How did I do, Susanne? Did I screw that intro up or what, man?
Oh, you're great. Hey, listen, thanks for having me back. I appreciate that. And it's a new year, so I've actually just retired officially from the AREI board. I am now the immediate past vice president, but you know what? The work goes on. I found that I can serve them better by not being on the board, but doing more research projects and things like that and fundraising.
So tell us, because since I didn't do the best intro, what should I have added to that bio that I didn't add?
Oh my gosh. Well, my mission is to teach anyone whose heart and mind is open that they have the ability to make their own direct connection with their spirit guides and beloved people and pets who now live in the spirit world. I want to put mediums out of business. And I've said that before. It raises eyebrows and it makes me not too popular until I explain what I mean. I mean that I'd like to see us mediums become teachers and not readers, and teach people this empowerment of making their own direct connection with their own spiritual team.
It's wonderful. You know, this is why you and I connected so strongly and deeply, because I actually, I wanted to bring the transdimensional grief resolution method to mediums and teach them how to help people dialogue on their own and heal their unfinished business. And do you know, every medium I reached out to, and I'm talking even the big one, everyone was, oh, I don't need that. Oh, I know how to do it. I can show them, I can, in the reading, help them to heal. So they were very threatened by the idea that, I would be offering a tool where you could learn how to resolve your unfinished business, have a direct dialogue. And then I met you, and it was like my dream came true. At least there was one person on the earth plane who got what I was talking about and is a champion for this idea. You can reconnect, and you must reconnect on your own and put the mediums out of business,
Yeah, and I think that the tide is turning, Jamie. There are mediums, and in fairness to my colleagues, that we've worked hard to hone our abilities, and it takes tremendous energy. And so we get very protective of what we do. And I always say mediums are either deified or demonized. People hate us or love us, but more and more mediums are coming around to this realization that there's a shift in energy and that people can do this themselves when they know how.
I wanted to ask you this. We never actually talked about this. A lot of people have come to me after having seen traditional mediums, and they've been in a state of complete emotional upheaval over the medium telling them, you've got to grieve, let go, and move on. You're holding him back. All this garbage about you're preventing him from moving into the light. You've got to let go. And I think, how can they say that? And then instead of helping someone to reconnect, they're like ripping the bereaved person's heart out. Why do you think so many do this, Susanne?
It's like nails on a chalkboard for me to even hear that a medium would, or anyone would tell someone, oh, let your loved one go. They're gone. Yeah. You're holding them back. You're going to get them stuck between worlds. That is such rubbish. And it comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of what death really is.
Correct. Correct. And this is the thing that doesn't make sense to me. Even if they don't explain it in quantum physics terms, that 95% of our universe is comprised of dark matter or dark energy, not because it's evil, because it doesn't reflect light, and that when we shed the turtle shell of the physical body, the energy of the soul essence just moves into the dark matter. And that you can send and receive energetic communications to and from the dark matter. That's all it is. So, and when the mediums know that that's what they're doing, they are communicating and they're acting as a megaphone, right? I'm going to tell you what so-and-so said. But they know that they're living on in the dark matter, or whatever you want to call it, heaven, whatever. So then why would they say to someone, oh, you've got to let them go into the light? So if they're in the light and it can't be communicated with by the bereaved, then how can the medium communicate with them?
Yeah, there's no rationale behind that. I think the misunderstanding about what death really is leads to so many miscommunications, and words are said that are not helpful, hopeful, and healing because of the misunderstanding. Chief Seattle, I believe, said death is a change of worlds. And, heaven is not somewhere up there. It's exactly right where we are, just at a faster vibration rate.
Exactly.
And not only that, but when you think about this, the pets and people that we love, and I always include pets because they're part of the family too, they are still connected with us always. I mean, the title of your show, it's love truly does never die. The thing is, in many ways, we are their heaven. Knowing what's going on in our daily lives and being there for us is a big part of their recreational activity.
Yes, to still throw the ball for them. I had one of my patients, I'll say her first name, Dawn. I mentioned her in Love Never Dies in the book, but this story happened after I wrote the book. She comes in and she's weeping. She joins the group this evening, and she is hysterical. And I said, what is wrong? She says, my dog just left her body. That's all she said. We never talked about her dog, didn't know her dog's name. And the next thing I know, I see her dog, through mind melding, thought induction, giving me this image. And you get that with dogs because they don't talk, so they're going to just give you images, right? So the dog shows me that she's on her hind legs wearing a tutu and twirling like a ballerina. That's what she shows me, in a tutu. So I say to my patient, this is what I see. And my patient takes her hand and smashes her thigh and says, you did it, Jamie, you did it. I told Foxy that if you got the image of her being a ballerina in a tutu, I'd believe and know that you're here with us.
Oh, because that's beautiful.
Isn't that the sweetest thing? Because she came home from the pound, and the day she came home from the pound, her best friend and Dawn saw the dog get up on tippy toes and twirl, and her friend said if you put a tutu on her, she'd be a ballerina.
And the animals have such pure love and compassion and energy and no unfinished business ever. Right? So it is so easy to pick up on them. Now, with people on the other side, they still want to continue the relationship. So if there was something unsaid, they're going to find a way. I often say that spirit communication is like water. It follows the path of least resistance. Now, you've helped a lot of my clients, Jamie, where I always say, look, I'm not a therapist. And getting a reading is not intended to heal your grief. It's just a spoke in a wheel of other things that help to heal. But a lot of times what I found is that the grief and the regret can be so thick it becomes a barrier to the communication.
Oh, totally. Totally, because it lowers that vibration, and then there's ships in the night.
An important thing to remember is our loved ones are in a real world on the other side. They're not stupid airhead balls of light floating around bumping into each other like bumper cars. I mean, they really put on like a physical body, but that physical body they have on is the younger, healthiest, most vibrant, robust version of themselves. They're in a real world. They have real world activities, and they want more than anything to let us know they're okay and still part of our lives.
Absolutely. You know, when Jean, one of the first things, I got such chills now. Jean is so with us in this conversation. Mm-hmm. One of the first things he said to me was, and remember now, I was a devout atheist, remember? I didn't believe in anything.
Yeah, how's that working for you? How's that working for you, Dr. Jamie?
And one of the first things he said to me was, Jamie. He said, death is an illusion. There's a very thin veil between the realm where you are and the realm where I am. The veil is thinner than you can ever imagine. I'm standing right here. And then he said, what makes you think the realm where you are isn't the illusion and the realm where I am isn't the reality?
And that is what the spirit world has told me. Anything that I say, I'm basing on my years of experience talking with souls who have given me very good evidence. I know that they're credible, and I've kept diaries for years and years, and they tell us that the senses are so much more vibrant once they leave the body. So they're having this very rich experience of the world. Just imagine colors that are more vibrant and alive and dazzling than anything we can imagine. Just imagine the flowers and the blue of the blue sky. And then they bring their vibration closer to us and go, ick. You know, it's just not that fun here on Earth, but it wasn't intended to be fun here on Earth. It was intended to challenge us and help us to grow, and they want to continue to help us to do that.
It's very, very true. You know, I say that our time on the Earth plane, this is our love lab, that we were put on the Earth plane to perfect our ability to love ourselves and others fully. And those in spirit are really our guides to doing that, because you remember the story that I told, how I was so beside myself, Susanne, with, you know, this deep inner self-loathing because of the voices of my parents that were constantly tearing me down in my own mind. How could I love myself? And then after Jean left his body, you know, and even though he loved me immensely when he was in a body, somehow his love never really, really enabled me to heal this fully and love myself. And then I go to my professional group in the city, and I'm crying my eyes out, and I'm saying, I've got to resolve this. I'm like, the bees are buzzing in my head, tearing me down, no matter how much success I have, no matter how many best-selling books. I hear my parents' voices ruining my life, ruining my calm, destroying my self-esteem. So all the analysts said, oh, tell them to shut the F up and let our voices replace theirs. We'll yell louder than their voices. None of that ever worked for me or my patients. So I come home, I collapse in a heap on my knees, and I'm weeping, and I said to Jean, I am begging you, please help me, help me. And I look at him, and I see him now like an angel surrounded in golden light. And he takes my face in his hands, and he turns me toward him in the light, and he says to me, Jamie, listen, listen, listen to me. Let my love for you fully enter you. And in that moment, all of his love came into me unimpeded, and I realized then that I had to wait until he was out of a body, freed from the physical vessel of a physical body, to be able to have his love enter me without impeding, with any impedance. And there it was. His love for me became my self-love. And that's when I realized reconnecting to those in spirit is our fast track to self-love.
And anyone can do it. So I hope that all the listeners aren't saying, oh, yeah, well, you've got a medium and you've got, this great talented doctor, and of course they're going to do it. This is for all of us. It is our God-given right. Yes, we're spiritual beings, and it is our right as children of the Source to be able to connect with our spiritual teams. And when I say teams, I mean guides, angels, and all of the loved ones. It's not important what anyone thinks in the physical plane about your connection. In fact, the very first step to making the connection is to release all fear. Fear of, something's gonna be scary or bad. No, you won't attract anything like that. Fear of, I'm gonna fail, and I'm gonna add the failure to make a connection onto my grief, or fear of what others think. Just release the fear. That's the first step.
Absolutely. Now, we talk a lot when we've done webinars, we've talked a lot about the fears and how those fears block us from reconnecting. And some of these fears are really very embedded in the culture. They're embedded